For the God on the mountain is still God in the valley. When things go wrong, He'll make them right. And the God of the good time is still God in the bad time.
Welcome back. My name is Pastor Justin Morris with the Pentecostal Evangelical Church. And if this is the first time you're tuning in, I thank you for that. And so, we are studying Ismael today, and the song that we started out with was God on the Mountain by Linda Lanier. And I use a lot of her music because it just seems to fit with the Bible so well. And we're studying Ismael today, and Ismael really had a rough start in life, and so, with God being on the mountain, and that song just really fits because God was right there to talk to Hagar and Ishmael and try to encourage them, and so I just felt that was a perfect song. You can get that whole song on her CD by only going on her website at lindalanier.org, and purchasing that CD. It's her first one. I love it. And $20 pays everything. It pays for your CD, your packaging, and the shipping. And so it's a really great deal. I ordered every single one of them, and I've got them all. And so definitely go on there. In this time that we're going through, we need some happy music. And, there's a lot of praise music out there, but sometimes you just need a song to really minister to you. And every CD that she puts out has music on it. Every song will minister in some way. So definitely check that out, okay? And before we get into Ismael, I want to, every time, I started this about a couple weeks ago, I wrote 3 prayers down, and we talk about it on our videos. And so what I've been really praying about is the coronavirus, and I announce the numbers every time. And the last update, according to this past Friday, which today is Monday, April the 6th of 2020, there was 7,077 deaths in the U.S. alone. And I got the updated numbers today, and we're up to 9,654 deaths in just the U.S. Now, worldwide, we're over 70,000 people that have died from this coronavirus. And so I just want to be praying that God will, get what He's doing done quickly. The thing is we've been studying the Old Testament characters here for a couple of months now, and every time God sent a prophet to people, it wasn't because, hey, you're doing a great job and I'm just here to tell you about it. No, it was always because they were doing a bad job, and God would send a prophet to tell him, hey, this is what's going to happen to you if you don't stop, okay? Well, we have the Bible today that tells us, hey, this is the way you're supposed to be living, and you need to stop what you're doing or else, okay? Read Romans chapter 1, verses 26 through 32, okay? I'm going to leave that up to you to read it. But the things that's in that chapter and in those verses that God says not to do, we've allowed it and actually accepted it as lifestyle. And so I do not put it past God to allow something like this that is pandemic. In other words, world, something that's happening in the world. This is the first time anything has happened like this in the history of the world that is the same virus worldwide. And He is trying to wake up this world and point to Him for the answer. And so who knows how long this is going to last? Who knows how long He's going to allow this to last? And so when there's people out there saying, oh no, this is not coming from God, this is not a judgment from God, that's just as bad as me saying that it is a judgment from God, making it a fact. I'm saying that God is allowing it for some reason, okay? Because God controls everything right now, okay? And so just read Job find out, what's going on with that. Okay, so all right, so let's be praying for that. I also want to pray for people out there that are looking for a job, including myself. I was a substitute teacher before all this happened, and now that we're not going to be going back to school this year, it's the superintendent of the state of Washington says that as of this point, he doesn't believe we're going to go back. And so I really, really enjoyed that job. I love to teach and I love to train, as you can tell. I was really enjoying that job. And retiring from the military, I didn't really enjoy all aspects of recruiting, except as a recruiter, I got to teach and train the people that are recruited, and I love that aspect of it. And so, I'm really looking for a job that I can do that. Unfortunately, since we can't be around people, really, I can't really teach and train anybody. And so this is what I do every day. I get up and I teach and train you my passion, and it's the Bible, okay? And so I am looking for a job, and I know a lot of you are as well. And so let's be praying that God does something here, okay? I always want to lift up our president and our leaders in prayer. I really like the fact that President Trump pointed out Franklin Graham this past week and how he really loves Jesus. And I know the powers that be are just going to probably hammer him on that one. But he is being attacked from all sides, so he really doesn't care what he says. And I'm happy about that. That's exciting. That he just puts out Jesus out there, and that he's giving glory to God there. And so I still want to pray for his strength, because a person keep getting beat down, it has to affect them. And so let's just continue to pray for our president and for strength, okay? So, hey, if you've got your book, The 100, and you're ready to go with this, we're going to jump right into Ismael, okay? If you don't have your book, it's only $13.99 on Amazon. People were asking, hey, can I send you the money instead and get a book from you? I'm all out. I had 21 books, then this is my last book. So that's pretty exciting that it's being bought up as fast as that. And so some of you do have the book. I'm excited about that. So, hey, let's jump into Ismael. His name in the Hebrew is Ishmael. Okay, Ishmael. Okay. And anytime that you have the L on the end, what does that mean? That means the name God is in that translation somewhere. So, hey, by the time we get done with these studies, you are going to pretty much be able to speak Greek and Hebrew as well as myself. I'm not able to yet, but I'm learning the language as far as how to pronounce sometimes. Some of it I'm just like, okay, it's this word. I don't know how to pronounce it, but sometimes I can try to get it broke down well enough, okay? So let's break this word down, okay? Shema means to hear, okay? And El means God, so it's God will hear, all right? That's what that means. Ishmael was born according to my Bible timeline in 1910 BC. And he was born to his father Abraham, and his wife's slave, Hagar. Okay, so, Abraham, shame, everybody knows your name. Okay, you did a bad thing, bud. Okay, so this was Abraham's first son, and believe it or not, he was 86 when he was born. And so, but many problems came from this because of the sin. And the thing is God had promised Abraham a son, but him and Sarah got too anxious about it. And so, in chapter 16, Abraham went into Hagar because Sarah says, "Hey, we're just getting too old, and this needs to happen, and maybe we can have a son through her." So she conceived, and things didn't go so well. Sarah got jealous and claimed that Hagar had contempt in her eyes while she was pregnant. Maybe she thought she was getting too full of herself because, hey, I'm pregnant and you're not, ha ha ha. And if you remember the Old Testament theme or times that a woman that could not have a baby or could not bear children was considered disgraceful, okay? So whether Hagar really had that contempt in her eyes or Sarah thought she had, whatever the deal was she went to Abraham. He goes, well, she's yours. You deal with her. So she dealt with her harshly, and Hagar took off. And God said, hey, you need to go back, okay? And I will bless you. There's a nation in your belly, okay? And so anyhow, the Lord had told Hagar that Ishmael would be a wild man and people wouldn't like him, nor he would like other people as well, okay? And that was found in Genesis 16:12, if you want to read that. Now, according to 16:15, like I said, Abraham was 86, so that's where I get that. And so we're going to fast forward here a little bit. Genesis 21:9-11, after Isaac had come along and he was a small child, Sarah found Ishmael tormenting him. Okay, now the word torment in the Hebrew from that time meant to be very harsh. Okay, now I torment my daughter Emily. She's almost 19, but it's a fun torment, and I like to torment little kids to a point. Okay, and have fun. Okay, with both of them, as long as they're laughing too. But when it becomes on their part where they're not happy, then that stops, because I don't want them to hate me. Okay,
you got to slide it open.
Keep going.
Keep going.
It didn't scare me. I like spiders. You like spiders?
Okay. But Ishmael, he was an angry kid or angry man by that time, because he was 14 years older, and Isaac was probably around 6 or 7 at the time. And so 14 years, that means he was 20, 21, and he was tormenting him. He was being mean to him. And so Sarah's like, you're out of here. So she goes and tells her husband Abraham about it, and they send them away. Okay, so through all the troubles that Ishmael caused and went through, God still promised him that he would become a nation according to Genesis chapter 21, verses 17-19. So this is the part where we're going to go ahead and read that. Okay, verse 17, and God heard the voice of the lad. Then the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven and said to her, what ails you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad and hold him with your hand, for I will make him a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the skin with water and gave the lad a drink. Okay, this is interesting to me, because the word lad means small child or small or young man. Okay, and so if he's 14 years older, or at least 13, 14 years older, and Isaac was already weaned by the time he was tormenting him, or at least, maybe 3 or 4, okay? And he's 14, that means he's 18 years old, and she's got to give him water, and she put him under a bush to die? I'm thinking, what? So, I like to do numbers and figure this stuff out. And so it's just interesting to me that she's putting him under a bush to die, and he's like 18, 19 years old. Okay, so I don't know, but let's go ahead and with the study. It's just something to think about. Okay, when he grew into a man, which I figure at 18, 19 years old he'd be a man, but he lived in the desert and became an archer. Okay, and so his mother found him a wife in Egypt, according to verses 20-21. So mommy is constantly taking care of this guy. Okay, and so I pick up on these little things. Most people will read over it, but I'm thinking, what? This guy was a mama's boy. Or mama's man. I don't know. Okay, so verse 20. So God was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. All right. He dwelt in the wilderness of Paran. Yep. And his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. Now, here's a map, and it's pretty darn detailed, okay? So let's look, let's go all the way, way north, okay, on the right side. And I got to pull my glasses down here because it's really tiny. Okay, so you see Jerusalem and Jericho way up there. And then you come down a little ways and you see where the wilderness of Paran is, and it's because it's circled yellow, okay? I did that on purpose, so you could kind of tell where they were living at. Now, here's another picture of what the terrain looked like. So if a woman's going to live in that kind of terrain, woo, she's a strong woman, okay? Because that is not a nice area. Now, I love that kind of terrain. I love to walk through it, and I love the beauty of the desert, okay? And if you've ever been to Moses Lake, you know this is the desert, so I really enjoy going and walking out. Plus, I love the woods too, okay? But I like all kinds of nature. But, so this is this is the area that they lived in, okay? So kind of gives you an idea of that. Oh, my heater came on, so if you hear that, sorry about that. It's still kind of cold in Washington State here. Okay, so this could have been because the reason why that that she went out and got him a wife from Egypt is because she was Egyptian, and we know that she was Egyptian by Genesis 16:1 and 21:9. It mentions that she is Egyptian. Okay, so I couldn't find much out about Ishmael's wife, but a few commentaries stated that he had two wives, and one he had divorced, and the second one he had a lot of children with. But whether or not who the mother were of all these kids, because he had 12 of them, the point is in Genesis chapter 25, verses 12 through 15, it names his sons. And so starting with the oldest one, I'm going to give this a shot here. They had Nebathjeth was the oldest, and then Nipsam, and then Kedar, and then Mishma, Adbel, Duma, Massa, Hadar, Tema, and Jethur. Woo! I'm getting better at this, okay? And that's not all, okay? Nephesh, and Kedamama. All right. So there was 12 kids here. And through that family line, there was some great bloodshed. Remember, the word great doesn't mean always good. It means a lot, okay, in the Hebrew. And so, okay, so why do you think there was a lot of bloodshed through this family? Well, for the fact that there's some evidence that a small fraction of these people were Ishmael's descendants that were actually Arabs. Okay, so what's an Arab? Okay, these people are actually still at war with Isaac's people of Israel. Okay, but okay, so what's an Arab? In the Aramaic and Hebrew, the term Arab means nomad. So originally referred only to the nomadic people who would roam the Arabian Peninsula. Okay, and it could be a bunch of different sects of people that had kind of came together. Okay, so later it was used to designate all inhabitants of the peninsula, both nomads and town dwellers. All right, so according to the Old Testament, the earliest inhabitants of the peninsula, descendants from the Joktan, according to Genesis chapter 10, verses 26 through 29, descendants of Shem, hence the name Shemanite. Okay, so a lot of these references I'm going to give you are going to be all genealogy, and so you can go in there and read the genealogy if you don't mind being bored. Okay, but there's, this is how awesome God is, because he actually lists the genealogy and he makes it very precise. Okay, so it can kind of seem boring to read, except we know that this is how the Bible is actually accurate and true because the genealogy is precise. Okay, so there's 12 sons of Ishmael according to Genesis chapter 25 through with verses 13 through 16, and then we find the sons of Esau that are also in that mix. 36, chapter 36, 1 through 19, and all descendants of Abraham, also Semitic. Okay, so clearly Ishmael's offspring represented just a small fraction of the Arab people, but to claim that all of Ishmael's descendants are Muslim is false. Okay, and the Muslim Islamic nation will swear by it, but it's a well-known documented fact that Muslims often invent genealogies to back up their claims. So am I saying they're lying? Yes. Okay, but anyways, bottom line, let's get back to Ishmael here. I feel sorry for the guy, really, because he got a rough start in life, and it reminds me of the kids in the ghetto that really nobody loves them, nobody wants to pay attention to them. Even when they try to go to school and teachers find out where they're from, they're treated less. Okay, so they kind of get this idea of, hey, you know what? Since nobody else cares, I don't care either. And people are gonna hate me, and I'm gonna hate everybody. And that's basically what was going on with Ishmael. You know, he was conceived out of sin to start off, and he wasn't liked by his stepmother. She found every reason not to like him, and she dealt harshly with his mother. And when he got old enough, she was just looking for a way to kick him out and get rid of him. And so, you know, he hated life, and that's basically what was going on. And his descendants down through up to this point have hated the descendants of Isaac, which is Israel. And so, you know what? That's Ishmael and his life. And so I hope you learned something from it. I certainly did. I did a lot of research and found out, hey, this guy, this is a really interesting read. And so continue to dig deep. That's why I wrote this book. I didn't write this book to give you all the facts. I wrote this book to put some facts in it, so you could go and do research yourself, thinking, hey, I enjoyed this guy. There's not much here, but what else is there? And that's why I wrote this book. So enjoy it. God bless you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
When things go wrong, He'll make them right. For the God of the good times is still God in the bad times. The God of the day is still God in the night. The God of the day is still God in the